A very good evening to you and welcome to Mission. I am Josephine Frempong. Now, our first story. The Electoral Commission says it has put in place all the necessary measures to ensure persons with disability participate fully in this year's general elections. The head of the Gender and Disability Desk of the Commission, Abigail Nutako, says even though some of the polling stations are still not accessible, the EC is putting in place measures to make the facilities disability friendly.
Abigail Nutako made the remarks at the launch of guidelines on inclusion and participation of persons with disabilities in election 2016 in Accra. The document will guide political parties, the Electoral Commission, National Commission for Civic Education and others in their decision-making, as well as enhance PWD's participation and inclusion in the electoral process. Executive Board member of the Ghana Federation of the Disabled, Mohammed Abdul Aziz, said physical access to polling centers and information still remained a challenge.
Those with hearing impairments, the ones that we call deaf, they do not have an appreciation of the issues because they do not have access to the information. Persons with visual impairments, they do not have the information on Braille. When we go to the election day, the persons with disability go to the voting center to see that the ballot box has been placed on a podium somewhere or in a classroom with stairs, very steep and many stairs, which the person with disability cannot climb.
But head of Gender and Disability Desk at the Electoral Commission, Abigail Nutako, assured the EC is acting on its mandate to ensure that all eligible voters, including the vulnerable, are secured.
Some of the centers are inaccessible, but the Commission is ensuring that all centers are accessible. It is not a matter of moving a center completely from where it is. It is about relocating, shifting to a much accessible place within the same area. However, in certain areas or in certain polling stations, the sun is so scorching everywhere. And that is how come some of the officials find themselves on the verandas.
In the guidelines, the Federation is asking for opportunities in the areas of employment, inclusive education, as well as the need for governments to extend political appointments to PWDs. The Federation also appealed to the media to highlight issues of disability for inclusion in political party manifestos and to ensure they hold parties accountable to promises made in their manifestos.
The Ghana Federation of Disability Organization has charged government to implement the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability or score lower global points on human rights. The group presented an 8-point agenda which must be considered by government.
In 2006, the United Nations Assembly adopted the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability and was ratified in July 2012. The convention is to implement policies that will generate breakthroughs and raise the living standards of PWDs and their participation in socio-economic development of the country. Members of the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations lamented government has not only failed in reviewing the Disability Act 2006, Act 715, but also paid less attention to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of PWDs. The 8-point agenda demands government to design, publish and implement timeframe, introduce realistic measures, support advocacy and sustainability of PWD organizations. Again, the agenda requires a holistic monitoring of PWD's participation in the planning, design and delivery of key national policies and programs, including those related to disability. The Federation is concerned that Ghana is yet to submit a state report to the United Nations on the implementation of United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability.
One key consideration is the allocation or availability of resources for the committee to work. It's very important. I think broadly, disability issues do not receive enough resources from the national budgets. And so government should pay attention to that and resource that committee and the National Council to monitor the implementation of the convention.
The GFD hinted a position paper bordering on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of PWDs was presented to government with a 6-month deadline last year, but nothing has been done. The group, however, noted that the current 8-point agenda is looking at a response and implementation period of 2 months before considering other extreme approaches to the issue.
Well, Mission is sponsored by Star Ghana, UK Aid, Danida and European Union. Many thanks for watching.